I dislike these guys so much. I get mad even thinking about
their
names.
Why do you get mad thinking about these guys?
Patrick, they've identified in the city of LA 17 gangs that are following people to their homes. They're tracking them in restaurants. And these are gangs that could be indicted under the RICO statute because they're criminal enterprises. They're very sophisticated. They're tracking people from their restaurant to their home and robbing them at gunpoint at their home. They've identified 17 gangs. The LAPD now has a unit just for this gang violence. You can go into stores, Rite Aid stores, and other pharmacies that are closing left and right in all of California because now shoplifting is a misdemeanor for anything under $1,000. People are going in there right in broad daylight, on camera, don't care, and taking $950 worth of merchandise off the shelf and walking out of the store. And nothing happens to them. I mean, people are not going to tolerate this. Normal working people, they're not going to tolerate this. Doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, or whatever. But this is what is going on. Now, I'll ask you a question. What is the reasoning behind this? Now, of course, we're hearing that Soros is putting all of these people in. He's backing their campaigns. He's getting them in office. But even there, what's the reasoning behind it? I don't understand it. Why do you want criminals to be pampered so they can go out and commit more crimes, and you want, regular citizens to be the victims and do nothing about it? What's the mentality behind this? I consider myself fairly astute. I can't figure this out. I don't know what the plan is. Is it somebody that's really looking to destroy America from within? Is that what's really happening in these major cities?
I don't know, but why would you do that though? Because sometimes even the guy that's going through it, that is relying on everybody else by, hey, I'll give you this for free, I'll give you that for free. Even if they bring the whole empire down, they get crushed because they're not the creators and the initiators. Mm-hmm. They rely on the creator and the initiator, but maybe they're oblivious to it. Maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe it's, if you rarely earn anything in life, you really don't care whether you lose anything. You never build it in the first place to have any kind of responsibility or pain of loss. Who knows what the motive is with that? But, sometimes sometimes certain states, Jedediah on our podcast that got started last week on the first episode, she just flat out said, listen, if you're living in these cities and states, leave. I have to tell you this, just leave. I lived in New York. She's saying this. I was in New York. I left. If you're living in California, leave. If you're living in Chicago, Illinois, leave. Why are you staying there? They have to feel the pain that you're leaving. Too many people are sitting there saying, oh, no, I'm just going to stay here because of this and because of that. No, listen, I'm leaving. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to a different state. That's her position, where maybe eventually it needs to get to a point where they're going to sit around and say, guys, we're losing way too many people. Just yesterday, they're having this conversation with MSNBC is having a conversation with one of their guests that's sitting there saying, well, it's not that bad. Gas prices are not this. It's the Putin gas hike. Did you see that? Which story is that, by the way?
It's in the middle of page 2 with, you're talking about NBC host Willie Geist?
Yeah, Willie Geist. Yeah, NBC host Willie Geist, he says, I want to read this to you. He says, NBC host tells Biden official that Americans see right through his Putin price hike spin. Okay, this is MSNBC saying this. You can't lose MSNBC. Maybe you lose a little bit of Jake Tapper from CNN. Fine, but you cannot lose MSNBC. Willie Geist told the director of White House National Economic Council Friday that Americans are not blaming Russia President Vladimir Putin for soaring gas prices. Brian, it's true, of course, that Russia's war in Ukraine is impacting oil prices. Yes, but I promise you, the landscaper 2 days ago I talked to about gas pump, who was trying to fill up 2 cans and backpack blowers and mowers in his truck, was not going, damn you, Putin. So what do you say to him? What do you say to families who can't afford all these groceries right now? The NEC director, Brian Deese, said these gas prices, which exceed $5 per gallon Thursday, is hitting families hard. Then he said gas prices have increased $1.70 since Putin amassed troops at the Ukraine border. I think eventually these arguments get exposed. Even yesterday, or not yesterday, 3 days ago, when Bill Maher had Kellyanne Conway on, and who's the other person that he on? He had a few different people on, and he said, look, guys, if Kavanaugh is getting a death threat and New York Times doesn't cover it the next day, If that was a Democratic Supreme Court, they'd be right. It would be a cover story. He says, this is the hypocrisy of New York Times where people don't trust. And it's not coming from Tucker Carlson. That's coming from Bill Maher. You can't lose these people that you've had for decades. And that's what's starting to happen to many of them.
I got to tell you this. I was never a fan of Bill Maher's, mainly because I didn't like the way he treated Christians and, and he was
religiously or in
religious lists.
He had that.
Religious lists, yeah.
But and also because I thought he was really far left. Mm-hmm. But as you're watching him now, I have a different opinion of him. I mean, I like him more now because he's calling it as he sees it. And listen, he said it right out with the New York Times. But it's a deeper issue. This was a Supreme Court judge that somebody went up to his house and was saying they were going to assassinate him. And here we are with mainstream media not even wanting to cover it. I mean, what are they thinking? I mean, this is worse than street stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. I mean, these people say it's okay to kill a Supreme Court judge. They don't want to cover it. They don't want people to know that. I mean, how do you start that? What kind of mentality is going on in this country? And that's why I'm saying this has become more mob-like. Even the press, even the media, to cover things up like this. I mean, this is serious stuff.
Yeah, they were talking about how Schumer, remember when Schumer said,
absolutely,
hey, he'll pay the price for road resurfaces, and he said it passionately. And some are saying, well, wait a minute, that's a threat, And he says, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released a whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hits you if you go forward with these awful decisions, right? Yes. And then he has to come back. This is Schumer's word. Now, some people may say, well, that sounds like what happened at the January 6th when Trump said this and that. So the point becomes this. Then The View, I don't know if you saw The View or not. You don't seem like the type of person that watches The View religiously, although it's a very good show to watch if you like to increase your blood pressure. It's a very good show to watch. But you see them saying, well, yeah, and then, but you see what he said, and you see what McConnell said, and you see what this said. No, here's what's going on. Hypocrisy at its best, all across the board, and it's being revealed. FYI, it's both the left and right, and if you try to impose hypocrisy, it's eventually going to be losing. Like guns right now, the debate that they're having with guns right now, where, 10 senators from each side, they're sitting there saying, hey, so here's what we propose, because I don't know if you saw Matthew McConaughey's speech that he gave. Did you actually watch the whole speech?
Very impassioned speech,
yes.
So I watched the speech, and I'm sitting there. This is a guy, I'm a Second Amendment guy. Mm-hmm. I have multiple M16s. Mm-hmm. I have shotguns. I have guns. I'm all for it. I think I want everybody to be trained. But you're sitting there listening to this guy saying, okay, I wouldn't mind more people being trained. I can see why the age may increase from 18 to 21. I can see that. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. Background check, fine. When I was in Dallas, I went to the local gun shop. I bought an M16 with a magazine and full of rounds, and it took me, I bought it, walked into the store at 11:41. By 11:59, I left with everything, bought it, walked out, nothing. I'm a safe guy to buy that stuff, and then I made a video about it to document it, but should the average guy be able to do that? Should the average guy be able to do that if he's taking medication? Some people are making these proposals. Why don't we look at them, right? But the same thing goes also with NRA. They also don't want anybody to make any changes to talk about anything. I think what's happening today is the following. Roe v. Wade, hey, here's what's going to take place. I can't believe you're doing this. Guns, this is I can't believe you're doing this. But the American people are saying, look, this sounds reasonable. This sounds reasonable. The unreasonable folks, you're so loud, you're convincing the reasonable people that you have a point, and you don't.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.